Well, thanks for coming. And I think keying off of what Gwen said around the leverage in the market, I mean, we're all here because we're looking for that fundamental leverage. What is going to give us, A, the most leverage, but also the most exposure and the least amount of downside? Well, I look at the market today and I see low amount of trading on all the major exchanges. You see fundamentally complete depreciation of wealth in the sector. And I think that's a pretty cool opportunity. Like, you're sitting here where an entire transfer of wealth has happened into the tech sector and the crypto sector and these really high risk investments, and every single person has forgot the fundamentals of life. You still need copper, you still need zinc, you still need gold. These are not elements that are going away. Nothing would be here without them. So I want to talk to you today about Blackwolf and that opportunity in the leverage, the people behind it, and how, and in our current market, there is not only again, I keep saying the word leverage, but an opportunity to grow with a very well-known team and people that have done this over and over and over. Let's go through our forward-looking statement. Not reading that. All right, so you look for three fundamentals in a company. And what are those? Leadership, rocks, capital structure, do they have money? What are the catalysts coming up? But there's really three fundamentals. You're looking at leadership, strategic investors, and rocks. Well, I'm really happy to say, let's start with the rocks, because that's kind of, we're in a mining conference here. Let's start with our flagship project. That's, a reason not to buy the stock. A $6 million or 6 million ton VMS deposit, about 45% copper, 45% gold, with a fully developed underground, permitted, Southeast Alaska, and on Tidewater. Gets pretty good. I was just up there last Thursday, or 2 Thursdays ago now. No snow on the ground, and when you think Alaska, you think lot of snow, hard to work in. Absolutely opposite, completely beautiful site. We have the Harry project, which is in the Golden Triangle in BC, strategically located between Ascot, who is going back into production, and Scotty Gold, who has a very, very nice gold discovery up there and keeps discovering. We had some very high-grade gold hits this year. So we have that leverage on that discovery phase in the Golden Triangle. And then our Hyder properties, which actually surround the Alaska side of the Golden Triangle, which no one's really done exploration on. We drilled 2 holes this year, got a lot of good geological data out of it, and are planning our next programs. So that's our rocks. We put value, we call it the rocks. What's the leadership and the strategic investor point? Well, we are backed by the legendary investor Frank Justra. When I came into the company almost 9 months ago, 10 months ago now, I kind of asked him, what is so attractive about this? And he said, team, and it's fundamentally backed by Niblack, and there's discovery potential. And I said, well, that's interesting. So what about the team do you like? He's like, Rob McLeod, who's sitting over there right now, and he's probably getting a little embarrassed as I say this, but again, someone that's made discoveries, born and raised in the Golden Triangle, has worked in the Yukon, has sold companies before, has a very good track record in the geological and in the corporate side, about to present another very exciting company that's up and coming. But he is our chairman, executive chairman, and is very involved in the day-to-day. So you get that feel that Frank is backing someone that has had success before. They brought me in. We'll talk about me at the end. I don't like talking about it. And then another board member, Andrew Bowring, someone that has serially successful in this industry. Whether the markets are up and down, he sees value. So much like Frank Justra, who probably is called the last 5 gold rushes, you see him come in right before it takes off. So, it's some good value there when you have that. And, I like to say, when you work with people like Rob and Andy and Frank, it really is about the big picture. This is just one aspect of what we're doing at Blackwolf. How do we leverage Niblack? How do we continue to grow in our Southeast Alaska and our portfolio of what we're building here is a gold and copper leverage company that has a production shot. Let's talk about our location. Most people don't know Southeast Alaska, especially I'm from Dawson Creek originally, and it was fairly cold up there growing up. And the bottom of Southeast Alaska on the Prince of Wales Island is where our property Niblack is at. And it is directly across from Ketchikan. Float plane, 15 minutes, you're there. On Tidewater, pretty neat location when you think about all the access issues that a lot of projects have. You have some amazing projects with access issues. We avoid all of that. So leverage to copper and gold with Niblack and expandability. So you start with 6 million tons. You have about 345,000 ounces of gold and about 200 million pounds of copper at high grades in what is called the Lookout and Trio zone. So you've got two fundamental zones, a big VMS deposit with huge expandability. So when you couple people like Rob in here, you couple very smart geologists, they figured out that this whole system was inverted. Went and drilled the Niblack zone, I think it was 2021 and 2022, came back with phenomenal grades. And we're looking to go back there here this year. We're looking at how we not only think a bit more outside the box with it. Is it a pure exploration, or is it maybe there's some production ability there, right? With a fully developed production grade underground. So we're developing our plans, and the catalysts coming out of that are going to be significant here in very short order. But don't mistake location. Being on Tidewater is an exceptional advantage to this story. All right, I'm not a geologist, so I'm not going to get into the fundamental technicals of the geology. But when you look at a VMS deposit and the strike and exactly where this ore body sits, you see a nice big high-grade zone. You see the development drift there. That Trio zone still haven't found the high-grade core yet. So again, even from the current underground, there's a ton of expansion that can happen there at fairly low cost because of the development. Someone put so much money into this already, and now we are the fortunate people that actually have the ability to leverage it. So let's talk about how we're doing this outside the box. You know, when you hear someone say we're gonna be outside the box, it's like, what does that mean? That sounds fun. Well, so for us, it really is a fundamental change. How do we become a part of something bigger? A lot of these mining companies nowadays actually have multiple pits or multiple operations feeding one mill, one hub. And we said, well, why don't we join with a couple other companies and a private company called New Moly who owns a fully permitted mill site across the Tidewater from us? Why don't we study how this can feed into that? So we finished our first phase. We'll talk about that to the market here shortly. But it is a huge advantage to a lot of companies in that area. You don't have the permitting risk anymore. You've de-risked the project on our side, on the Niblack side. It's expandable. And you can look at sharing CapEx and OpEx costs. Very, again, outside the box, but a unique prospect in driving a path forward. You have now multiple concurrent paths running. You have the exploration path. You have the development path. You potentially have the mill path. Those, when you couple those together, you actually start to build a mining company. So that's the unique part about what we're trying to do here. Been on our location, and I always like to show this slide. It's a nice bit of visible gold, and we go back to that, you know, what Gwen was talking about is you have a bunch of fundamentals you want to find. Well, we've hit the fundamentals on the resource. What we have hit this year was a very beautiful gold vein on our Harry property. It was 312 grams per ton gold over a meter, and we actually had another 277 grams per ton gold. And when you think about how the Bruce Jacks of the world and the premier mines of the world, we're in the same jurisdiction, we're in the same rocks. You have an opportunity to leverage that. We are fully capitalized for this year. We have $5.3 million in the bank right now. We raised it last year. Our burn rate's low, and we're looking to leverage the Harry discovery, the drill a fair size program there, while we advance our more later stage Niblack project, utilizing the capital intelligently. How do we get from point A to point P, which is, I like to say, production, and how do you leverage this gold discovery play that is in an amazing jurisdiction with someone who knows those rocks better than anyone else in the world. So we have 123 million shares out. I'm going to skip through a few slides here. 123 million shares out, and we're fully funded for this year. So in a very strong position. Now, the last 30 seconds, I'll tell you about my background because I really don't like talking about myself. So my background has spent 17 years in the mining industry. I spent most of my time working for majors. I worked at Grasberg for Freeport in Indonesia when I started at 24. Went over to Oyu Tolgoi for a number of years at Mongolia, one of the biggest mines being developed in the world. Put a mine into production in Ghana, in West Africa. Spent lots of time in Peru. Multiple different industries, including mining, ports, metallurgical steel plants. So a wide variety of how you take something from grassroots right into that production and cash flowing model. complemented with Rob McLeod and our team, I think we have what we could say is something to leverage off of. Thank you.